Welcome to the program. We are the team responsible for the third part of the book by Samuel Huntington Hall.
The Emerging Order of Civilizations.
And our chapter is the sixth.
Cultural Reconfiguration of Global Politics.
And please, feel comfortable.
Don't fall asleep and pay close attention.
Because this is
The Clash of Arguments.
Oh shit. Oh, God, what happened? Oh,
How are you? Luis,
I'm so tired. But...
you knew that the Vatican is one of the smallest states in the world. They call it a microstate?
Well, yes, I did. In fact, this is also all related to the thesis raised in Huntington's book, where I have found an error since it's only contemplate the countries to develop their proposal on civilizations. I have noticed also that it does not complete other actors of the international system as microstates, which although they seem insignificant have established international treaties with countries of different civilizations, such as Vatican City considered the central nation of the Catholic religion. Vatican City is the only country that is not part of any integration organization regional, that the Catholic religion regional is the most important in the world by its number of believers and assemblies. So, let's take a look at the microstates and the Vatican City, the center of our hypothesis. So, let's see.
Do you know which are the smallest countries in the world? Well, stay here because this is the top 10 smallest country. The microstates are considered the smallest countries in the world. Let's see. Ten, Malta, with area of 316. 9, Maldives, with area of 298 kilometers. 7, Saint Kitts and Nevis, with area of 261 kilometers. 7, Marshall Islands, with area of 181. 8, with area 161. 5, San Marino, with area of 61 kilometers. 2, Tuvalu, with area of 26 kilometers. 3, Nauru, with area of 21 kilometers. 4, Monaco, with area of 1.95 kilometers. 5, and Vaticano City, with area of 1.44 kilometers.
The state of the Vatican is a microstate with the same capabilities and powers of any country in the world. Considered the smallest Western country in the world with an area of only 0.44 kilometers and 8 inhabitants, is recognized as the central country of religion Catholicism, which does not prevent it from having diplomatic relations with countries of different religious beliefs, such as the countries of the Middle East and the Muslim civilizations. It is also the only country in the world that is not part of any regional integration bloc, despite the fact the religion most important in the world is the Catholic. So it is evident that Samuel Huntington omitted weight factors and did not take into account some important actors, in this case microstates. The Vatican is a clear example that some countries important for certain culture are able to establish relations with countries of different civilizations, where the cultural factor is overcome.
Hi, Nicole.
Hi.
Do you read the chapter on international organization?
Yes.
And can you explain me why Huntington hypothesis about this is incorrect?
Yes, of course I can.
Okay, bye.
What's that thing? Huntington thesis say that the international organizations will succeed if the members of the organizations are of the same civilizations and their cultures are similar. On the other hand, the field action of the organizations that are of different civilizations are limited in its activity. Huntington speaks of international organizations in a very general way, but doesn't take into account that there are different types of international organizations. Only refers to those that fit their arguments as they are intergovernmental. However, that there are the rest. Here is the same as in all its central argument. Doesn't take into account what it doesn't not like or does not agree to speak. That is why we have decided to take and what it discard.
2,000 years later.
Thank you, Nicole. Bye.
Much later.
Nicole said that Huntington had discarded important things. I wonder what she means. I don't understand.
Yes, I'm alive. And yes, I can explain you. So, our second arguments come from one of these actors of the international system, in this case NGOs, for this is necessary to answer the following. What is a non-government organization? A non-governmental organization NGO is any non-profit group of volunteer citizens which is organized locally, nationality or internationality. Hi! We tax-oriented and directed by people with a common interest. NGOs perform a variety of humanitarian service and functions with sciences, problems to government, oversee policies, and encourage community involvement. So that is.
So, what is your contribution? From the above, it can be decided that an NGO is formed by a group of volunteers. Therefore, these organizations are made up of people from all countries of the world. That is, from a civilization. However, this is exactly the opposite of what Huntington says. Well, let's continue with why do they meet? So, what is the goal?
I don't know. I'm tired. But thanks.
Oh. Hi again. Most of them are born for human rights. NGOs almost always go for the protection of human rights, and its field of action is not limited by its members, but on the contrary, this diversity generates that the field of action of the NGO is more efficient to achieve its objectives. On the other hand, who do they help? Huntington told us that achieving a country other than Central America no one helped because they did not feel identified with them, but the NGOs don't say this.
On the contrary, they are not interested in culture, civilization, the state, its tradition, and the their objectives are the protection of human rights. If anyone in the world needs help, they will be there to do it.
It's all? Okay.
Yes, it's all.
Okay. Thanks.
You like it? Do you like it?
We can also point out that Huntington crossed over Japan as an isolated country and document the failure in economic integration with our civilization. However, we can see that the Nippon country has had a successful economic integration with the Asia bloc and even more divergent civilizations such as the G8.
How powerful is Japan? Well, Japan is an economic giant, but they also have a stunted military. The CIA reports that by design, they spend only 1% of their total GDP on national defense. After World War II, the Allied forces made Japan revise their constitution and add an article stating that the Japanese people forever renounce war as a sovereign right of the nation and the threat or use of force as a means of settling international disputes. Then, in the 1960s, to further solidify that mandate, Japan and the US signed the Treaty of Mutual Cooperation and Security, which gave assurance to Japan that the United States would defend them against any threats. It also gave the US access to and control over a few military bases on Japanese land. So that's why Japan's military is currently so small. They have approximately 250,000 active military personnel, which ranks them 22nd in active military manpower. So does this mean Japan isn't powerful? No. Economically and politically, Japan is a global leader. Their GDP, which is valued at almost $6 trillion, ranks third in the world. Huge tech and machinery companies like Mitsubishi, Kawasaki, and Toshiba produce some of the finest electronics, automobiles, and military gear on the market. They also have enormous political power. They provide 11% of the UN's budget, making them second only to the US in that respect, and they have extremely close ties with the United States. Plus, their economy has remained strong despite multiple recessions, as well as the 2011 Fukushima nuclear disaster. If Japan were to expand their military, they would surely become an international superpower. But as of now, that doesn't seem like a real possibility, as recent polls show the majority of Japanese citizens prefer their current military arrangement.
In conclusion, Huntington described his main argument leading to emerging in the mid-20th century as a non-governmental organization and the principles that govern it. In the same way happens with the microstate, which despite not being of great relevance in the emerging ordinary civilizations are part of this, and the case of the Vatican State isn't only the microstate smaller but also the most important being the representation itself of the civilization as it is the master, where most of the population are Catholics. On the other hand, when he refers to isolated states, it makes a great mistake in trying to predict the fate of civilization like the Japanese. Currently, it isn't only projected to power at regional level, but also worldwide, which is totally insulated from Huntington's assumption. Well, this is all for today. Thanks for seeing us.
So, that is all for today. I'm Luis, and we will have more information for you tomorrow. And please, don't forget to see us very soon. Thank you very much, and have a good day.